Hello, my name's Hazel and I'm a 29-year-old woman. These past few months have been a crazy roller coaster and my life is at the biggest turning point right now. I figure that now is as good a time as any to share my story with the world. Let's start with my career. I had always wanted to be in the field of medicine because growing up, I had always idolized my uncle, who was a statewide recognized and celebrated pediatrician. I worked really hard on my career and I never really paid attention to anything other than my studies. That was why I never really had a dating life. After years and years of studying, I finally got to become an on-call nurse. Now, while I enjoyed my career, I also felt a deep sense of loneliness. Around a year after I became a nurse, I met my husband Casey. Casey and I met through a dating app. Now, I wasn't a big fan of dating apps, but I was bored and tired of only seeing people at work and nowhere else. Over text, Casey and I had great chemistry, but I was nervous about meeting him in person because people tend to be different over text than in real life. Thankfully, Casey was a great person in real life. We had a great time together, so much so that we planned a second date just for the next weekend. We dated for another 2 years after that, and we decided to get married right as we were approaching our third year together. We didn't have a big wedding because we wanted it to be a small affair. It was a beautiful day, and up until recently, it was one of the best days of my life. Just a few months after Casey and I got married, Casey got a call from his father, Derek. A little background on him. Derek struggled with type 2 diabetes. Since he was pretty old, his diabetes got worse as time passed. He also suffered from a plethora of other illnesses that were not fully related to his diabetes. Every time Derek called, I will admit that I got a little scared. I was always worried that it was a phone call to give us bad news regarding his health. The phone call we received a few months after marriage for the first time was a phone call delivering some bad news. Casey was on the phone with his father for a long time before he finally told me what he talked about. So I just got off the phone with my dad. Is everything okay? Not really. Oh no, what's wrong? His health is getting worse. Oh man, what do you plan on doing about it? I was thinking about something, but I'm not sure that you'll be on board. What is it? Don't worry about what I'm going to think about it. Well, I was thinking that we could move in with him. Oh? It'll be really good for him. He needs to have 2 injections given every single day. And you're a nurse. Plus he won't be all alone at home. Why in the world would you think that I wouldn't be on board with that? Well, you know, we just got married a few months ago and I'm already asking you to help me babysit my father. A lot of people would usually be upset with that. Sure, but I'm not anything like that. Besides, you know that I adore your father and I want him to live a long, long life. So if I can help him achieve that, why would I not? Thank you so much. You've no idea how much this means to me. Oh, hush now. We'll just stay with him until he gets all better. All right. So how about we move in this weekend? I would ask him to move in here, but he has a whole house while we live in an apartment, and I feel like that will be a little too cramped for us. And, honey, calm down. I'm okay with this. I'll follow along with everything that you say. Let's get some sleep tonight and work out the logistics tomorrow, huh? Yes. I'll just call my dad right now and inform him about our plans, okay? Of course. I was actually really glad to be able to help Derek. After all, he was family now and I had more than enough knowledge about how to help him. Casey spoke to his father and it was decided that we would be moving in that weekend. Casey was overly concerned that I was bothered about the shift deep down inside. He kept checking in on me at all times and kept telling me that even if I wanted to back down at the last minute, he would not hold it against me. I kept assuring him every single time that I wanted to do it. When we finally moved into Derek's place, the first thing I did was familiarize myself with Derek's medication. I took Derek to all his doctor's appointments and looked at all of Derek's reports. I took my role as his caregiver very seriously. Once I was familiar with everything, I poured my entire focus into caring for Derek. Derek's behavior changed completely after I took over his medical care. He used to be a very jolly and happy-go-lucky guy, but then he changed into this quiet and very reserved man. I tried to get him to talk on several occasions, but Derek never responded to me in more than a phrase. I tried asking Casey if he knew why Derek was acting that way towards me, but Casey did not seem to have any idea as well. Besides, I didn't hold out much hope for Casey knowing why Derek was behaving that way, considering he was somehow always busy and needed to be outside the house. I tried asking him where he was going, and I always got a bunch of answers, including work and drinks with friends. I was upset that Casey was showing so little care towards Derek, but at the same time I figured that his being away from home so much was his way of dealing with his sorrow about his dad's health. Eventually I gave up on asking Derek if everything was okay and instead focused on getting him better physically. Finally, about a month after Casey and I moved in with him, Derek spoke to me. "I'm so sorry that you have to do this." "Why are you apologizing?" "I feel bad. This is not how you're supposed to spend the first few months of your marriage." "You and your son are the same. He brought up this concern with me too, but just like I told him, I'll tell you this. I want to do this for you." "Sure, but there are a million other things you could be doing or even worrying about." "And none of those would be as important as you are. I want to see you get better." I don't think I ever will." "Why is that?" "You're much more stable now than you were before." "This is how it always is. I get stabilized for a little bit and then I crash again. Ask Casey. He's been with me every single one of those times." "I was there for a few of those times, but now you're in my hands. Obviously, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I'm a trained nurse and I have a little more knowledge than Casey when it comes to medicine." "How dare you say that? You have a lot more knowledge about medicine than him?" "Derek." "But see, your sense of humor is coming back, so you're definitely getting better. Let's just focus on feeling good and let the future worry about itself, huh?" "I'm thankful for you. I wish there was more that I could do for you." "That's enough now. I only want you to do one thing for me, and that's to recover and be as healthy as you can. Got it?" "Yes, Mom. So where's Casey?" "I don't really know. He's been running some errands." "That boy is always taking care of things behind the scenes. I feel like I've upset him too. You know, with having you guys move in." "I can assure you that you haven't. He's just very, very worried about you. I guess being out of the house makes him feel better because he doesn't have to see you suffer as much." "I guess. Just let him know that I miss talking to him, and if he could and wanted, we could watch the game together this evening in the den. Just a boys' night, if you don't mind." "That's a great idea. Of course I'll let him know. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to spend some quality time with his dad. Besides, I could use some downtime for myself too." "All right then. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a nap now. I feel pretty tired." "Of course. I'll check in on you every half hour. And if I'm not here, just press this buzzer and I'll be right by your side. Sleep well." I'm not going to lie, but I had an inkling that Derek had been feeling that way. I was glad that he finally felt comfortable enough to confide in me about it. I tried my best to be as reassuring as I could be that Derek was no bother to me. All that was left for me to do after Derek went to sleep was to wait for Casey. He had gone out again that day and he hadn't told me where. I texted him and called him a few times, but I could not get through to him. I was beginning to worry, but about an hour after I tried to get in touch with him, Casey texted me and let me know that he was okay and that he would be back home late. I got dinner ready for Derek and me, and for the first time since I moved in, the two of us sat together and ate. We finally went back to having conversations that we always did. I gave Derek his night medications and sent him to bed. I lay in bed for another 2 hours waiting for Casey to get back. I was really tired from the day, so I ended up falling asleep. I woke up about an hour and a half later because I heard sounds coming from the living room. When I went downstairs, I saw Casey sitting in the living room and taking off his shoes and then his tie. So I approached him and asked him where he had been all day. "Hey, where were you?" "Oh, just here and there." "Okay. Well, I was talking to your dad earlier, and I have to say both of you think the same way." "What do you mean?" "Both of you worried about how I would react to moving in here right after marriage. It was actually kind of cute." "Oh, I really do hope you don't secretly mind it." "No, I don't. But he also asked me to ask you about something." "Oh, what is it?" "He asked me to ask you if you'd be free this weekend to watch the game this weekend, just the two of you, in the den for a boys' night." "Oh man, I wish I could, but I'm going to be busy this weekend." "You are? What are you doing?" "I just have some things I need to do." "You know, ever since we moved in, you've been busy doing something. You won't tell me about anything." "Look, don't take it personally. I just need to sort through some things, okay?" "No, I will not take that as an answer. Do you even know how upset your dad is?" "What's he got to be upset about?" "You haven't been spending any time with him. He thinks you're upset about the move-in and that you're avoiding him because of it." "That's nonsense." "Then what are you running around for?" "I'm just taking care of all the legal things like my inheritance, in case things go south with Dad." "Are you being serious right now?" "What? I don't want things hanging open and us struggling later on." "Your father is alive and healthy right now, and all you can think about is making sure that you get your inheritance from him?" "This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you about anything." "What? Because I was going to tell you that you seem insane?" "Look, Dad's health has always been very fragile, and he's always denied wanting to get his affairs in order. Besides, I never had the opportunity to get it done because I was strapped by his side taking care of him." "I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I'm just upset that you're only focusing on that instead of spending quality time with him while he's still here." "If this is about the football game, then fine, I'll sit with him. Just don't make a big deal about this." "Why are you being this way? He's your father. Why are you treating this like it's some kind of chore?" "I said I would do it. Just get off my back already." I could not understand why Casey was behaving that way. Why was he getting so agitated? I was only relaying the message that his father wanted me to relay. Besides, why would he act like spending a day with his ill father was a huge task? Casey didn't give me a chance to even ask him any more questions because he got up and stormed off into the guest bedroom. I went to bed feeling upset that night because I could not seem to understand Casey's point of view at all. The next day, Casey approached me before he left for work and apologized for his behavior the previous night. He told me that he had been tired from work and took out his frustration on me. Somehow I could not bring myself to fully believe that excuse. At least Casey assured me that he did not find spending time with his father to be a menacing task. He told me to tell Derek that he would spend the weekend with him. Derek was overjoyed when he heard. So when I had some downtime that day, I planned out all the snacks and drinks that the two of them would need for the game viewing. When the weekend came, I left the house after I made sure that both Casey and Derek were well settled in the den. I made sure that Casey knew what to do in case Derek's blood sugar level got too high or too low, and then I made my way to the library for some much-needed reading time. When I came back, both Casey and Derek had large smiles on their faces. They would not stop talking about the game, and I was honestly happy to see them back to how they always were. That was the last time I saw Derek actually happy. A month after that viewing, Derek's health began to deteriorate. His blood sugar levels would always be through the roof, and he began to get weaker and weaker. So one day, on a whim, I decided to take Derek to the hospital to get his health check-up. I gave the nurse a bottle of the medicine and asked her to just check if it was the right contents because I wanted to rule out any and all causes for Derek's failing health. As soon as Derek was settled in his ward, I called Casey and informed him of what had happened. Casey rushed over and was with me in the hospital within half an hour. "What's going on?" "Oh, thank God you came. What's wrong with Dad?" "Nothing too serious, but his health was getting worse. I felt like something was off, so I just brought him to the hospital." "What?" "It's nothing to worry about. I'm just making sure that everything's going fine." "Did you seriously admit him into the hospital based on a hunch?" "Well, yes. What's the problem with that?" "Do you know how much his bills cost?" "He's fully insured, Casey. There's nothing to worry about. What is your problem with this?" "You're a nurse. You could have figured it out on your own. You did not have to come to the hospital." "A hospital can do much more than what I could have done at home. What is your issue? Aren't you glad that I was precautious? I mean, this is better than waiting until something bad does happen." "Nothing bad would have happened. You just admitted him into the hospital because you thought something was wrong. You didn't have any evidence." "Did I not say that his numbers indicated that his health was declining? I think that's evidence enough." "Ugh, you're going to ruin everything." "What are you—" I was interrupted by the nurse to who I had given Derek's medicine. She pulled me to the side and told me that the medicine was not medicine, but it was sugar water. That was what was causing huge spikes in Derek's levels. I was shocked. I could not understand how that was possible. That was until I got a call from one of Casey's friends right at that moment. What they told me shocked me to my core. I started thinking of Casey's suspicious behavior. Derek's spike in blood levels started a month before and right after the game viewing the day that I was out of the house. I quietly told the nurse to alert the police that Casey had been trying to poison his father. My heart was racing, but I knew that Casey had to be the culprit. I just needed to stall him. I set my phone to recording and approached him. "What's going on? What took you so long? Why do you look so pale?" "So, the nurse just told me something." "What?" "I do not have the patience for your drama right now. Spit it out." The medicine that I had been injecting Derek with was not the one prescribed to him. "Oh, how did the nurse find out about that?" "Because I gave her the bottle of the medicine when she told me that Derek's sugar levels are soaring beyond belief. I thought that was odd. So I gave the bottle of medicine. Turns out it had been switched with something else entirely." "With what?" "It was just plain sugar water, which would explain the high blood sugar levels." "Casey, why did you do that?" "You think I did that? You did it. I'm not the one administering his medication to him." "I would never do something like that. All of this only started happening after that day that I spent away from home. Did you switch the label of the medicine into another bottle?" "I did not." "Be honest with me. Why did you do it?" "Why do you think I did it?" "Because everything adds up. You telling me that I was ruining your plans, you constantly being out of the house, never spending time with him." "I had a plan for us to go somewhere today, and I was that way with Dad even before the day we watched the game together." "Right. Then tell me why one of your friends called me because they were concerned when you told them that you had found a way to get your dad's inheritance earlier." "Which one of those jerks ratted me out?" "What did your father do to you for you to want him dead?" "It wasn't anything personal, okay? I just wanted to live a lot more comfortably. Do you know how many estates this man is sitting on? I would not have to work for the next 10 years if I sold them off." "Did you not think that if your plan got figured out, I would be the one that was going to suffer?" "I planned it exactly that way." "What is wrong with you? You know what? I'm not even going to give you the satisfaction of a bigger reaction. You deserve to rot." "Is that the cops? You call the cops on me?" "Well, What you did was attempted murder. I just stalled you long enough to ensure that you won't run away." "You rat!" "Enjoy prison time." Casey was promptly arrested after that. I couldn't believe what was happening to me, but I knew that I needed to stay strong for Derek. When Derek was in a more stable condition, I broke the news about Casey's crimes to him. Derek was shocked and beyond heartbroken. He could not believe that his own son wanted him dead. While focusing on making Derek feel better, I was also summoned to court several times to testify against Casey. Every time I went there, Casey just glared at me with such intensity that I would feel really scared, but I knew that what I was doing was right for Derek. Eventually, after weeks of going over the case, Derek got convicted of elder abuse as a felony, and he was sentenced to 1 year in prison, was fined a whopping $10,000 along with time at a correctional facility for his behavior. I was just happy that Casey was finally taught the right lesson, and I hoped that he would change for the better. While I was happy, Derek was not. Unfortunately, Derek was not able to get over his grief of losing his son. He became sadder and sadder as each day passed, and the day that Casey was sentenced, Derek lost his will to live. For a minute, I really did feel bad that I was the one who pulled the whistle on Casey's devious plans and in the process hurt Derek. But Derek must have sensed that I was feeling that way, because one day while I was giving him his medicines, Derek told me to not feel terrible about exposing Casey. He told me that he was that sad because he felt betrayed and like he had been a horrible father to Casey. I tried my best to comfort him, but Derek did not want to listen to anything. Instead, he asked me to get him his lawyers because he had some paperwork to change. I did everything that he asked me, and about 3 weeks after Casey's sentencing, Derek passed away from a cardiac arrest. I was devastated for him because in my heart, I felt like Casey still got what he wanted. He was the reason that his father gave up on his will to live. That was until I was told by Derek's lawyers, who contacted me to tell me that Derek had given me a majority of his estates and properties. The rest he donated to an old age home for abandoned elders. My heart melted at the thought of Derek's thoughtfulness, but I also knew that I had to uproot myself and move to a different place. I had a year to change things up and make sure that Casey would find no way to get a hold of me. So now, in about a month's time, I'll be moving a long way away. I'm writing this as a way to get everything that happened off my chest, and as a reminder that good will always prevail no matter what. Thank